My name is Raisa, and I'm a conversion and user experience specialist at Google, now based here in Amsterdam as of last April. And previously I was a front-end developer on the Google's Brand Studio team, so starting my career in the headquarters in Mountain View, and then moving over to London where I was for the last 3 years before here, and now I've decided to step back from the hands-on coding work and help our clients to make their websites faster and more user-friendly. I started off, I guess growing up, I was always very artistic and I loved to draw. I was drawing comics as a kid, and finally I learned how to digitize them on Adobe Illustrator. I think it was version like CS3 or something at the time. And when I finally learned to digitize my comics, I wanted to build a platform to share these lame jokes with the world at the time. And so I built a webcomic site where I posted daily comics. And now that I look back at it, I'm a little bit ashamed of the practices I've used in web development, but it's interesting to see how a lot has evolved since then in the web development practices and in my own skills. So I've gotten better over time, but you can say my journey in web development has always started in art. So what I enjoy about this is that I'm able to bring the technical and design parts together. Brand Studio was a really fun team. At first, it was kind of like when I first moved to London, actually, it was a new start to the team. So it felt kind of like a creative agency environment where we were building some marketing campaigns and microsites for Google's marketing initiatives, and specifically focused on EMEA when I joined the London team. And this was really interesting for me as well because I learned some of the cultural differences through the websites that we were building. So like some initiatives focused on privacy and security, and also marketing more towards emerging markets like in the Middle East and Africa regions, where I learned a lot about the importance of mobile website speed and how we need to speed up for everybody. That's been quite a challenge, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because this day last year I was speaking at a developer conference about augmented reality, and while the technology is still being developed for the web, I was trying to experiment with it to see what's possible today. And although we've progressed quite a lot, there are definitely browser and hardware limitations. Like as I was developing some fun prototypes, my phone was heating up and it's just not yet ready for those things. So that's why I decided today in my talk to talk about how we need to focus on the basics first and improve our site speed and our performance budgeting techniques before we work on these emerging technologies to bring it to the market. Yeah, it's interesting to see how this is already affecting people's daily lives. I mean, we're not quite at the level of using voice UIs over physical displays, but I see that the consumer behavior is changing if you look at the research and statistics. And I think it would be interesting to see the design trends that change along with these changing consumer behaviors, because that's ultimately, we want to design for what the consumer wants instead of solving with all these technologies. But I think we're getting there. Well, right now, since I've taken a step back from hands-on development, I have been doing a lot more research on like market research. So I recently published some articles on Think with Google about the consumer behaviors in Northern Europe, because I find it quite fascinating that we have really high internet speeds here, but a lot of big companies kind of use that as an excuse to not care about their website speed. So I've been doing a lot more research lately, and also digging into more of progressive web apps and looking for case studies to really prove the impact of it. The coming month, let's see. I have been talking about wanting to relaunch my portfolio site that's kind of been neglected on my local machine. So if I have time for that, I don't know if it'll be in the coming months, but that's kind of something in the backlog that I would hope to at least launch by the end of the year. So my talk today is about the fast mobile internet speeds, and also at the same time evolving user expectations. So as I mentioned, Northern Europe in particular has is known to have really high internet speeds, but since companies tend to use this as an excuse not to speed up, I want to surface some insights of why this is still important for your users and what opportunities lie ahead if you speed up your website. Like, for example, first of all, the user experience improves, but also there's a huge revenue opportunity if you're a big business.